Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the SIG SAUER Studios. On the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense from the SIG SAUER Studios begins right now. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today here on the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone here at the ranch. And, of course, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Welcome to the program today. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad.
So we have interesting news today. We're going to go into a lot of depth on this today. Something that's been kind of a thorn in your side for a long time that we've talked about for several years. But there's been movement at the DOJ from Bondi on part of Trump's executive order that is breaking right now. So we'll give you as much detailed information as we have right now, probably more tomorrow, because it literally is breaking as we speak.
I can't find anything on this.
Yeah, it's great news. It broke about 57 minutes ago, and we didn't catch the alert until just a few moments ago, so we're going to kind of cover this live. But before we do that, Greg, we're going to be talking with Ryan Petty, Parkland Ed, in just a moment. Would you tell people where to watch us on social media and all that fun stuff? And I do want to throw a disclaimer. If you're watching on X, for some reason the player's not popping up, you have to click the link, and you can watch it there by clicking that link. So please do that and enjoy it. Repost those posts. Go for it, Greg, and then we'll go to our guest.
Sure. If you want to watch the show, just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over on Rumble and YouTube. On X, it's at AAR Mark. If you want to join our live chat, you can head on over to your app store, grab the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
We'll do it. You can catch us on Facebook. Facebook's live, YouTube, Rumble, all that fun stuff, and lots of you are doing that. We appreciate it. Let's go to our guest, Ryan Petty. Ryan, welcome to the show, brother. So we have some breaking news I want to cover with you that you may not be aware of, but you're pretty tuned in. Maybe you are aware of this. But let's go to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who issued a rule just a while back reversing the ATF's decades-long ban against the restoration of gun rights. Now, I'm going to bring this to you from AWR's piece, which just popped up, which is the alert that I got on this. But the Gun Owners of America is praising Bondi. Her order, noting, quote, because of an amendment by Senator Chuck Schumer, imagine that, Democrat, back in 1992, the ATF has been prohibited from restoring gun rights for the last 32 years. Now, Ryan, Schumer's amendment was dated October 6, 92, prohibits the ATF, quoting, from using funds to investigate or act upon applications for relief from federal firearms disabilities under U.S. Code 925C. Here's a part of Bondi's rule, which the GOA posted up on X. I'll read that to you now, folks. The interim final rule, or IFR, amends the Department of Justice relating to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives by withdrawing effectively moribund regulations regarding how ATF will adjudicate applications for relief from the disabilities imposed by certain firearms laws and withdrawing a related delegation. The rule, quoting from AWR, is scheduled to publish in the Federal Registry, ladies and gentlemen, on March 20th and will be effective immediately upon publication. Now, AWR spoke with GOA's Director of Federal Affairs, Aiden Johnson, who said, and I quote, since its enactment in 1992, Gun Owners of America has been fighting against the Schumer Amendment, which defunded the federal gun rights restoration statute. And he added, again quoting, Gun Owners of America and thousands of would-be gun owners are grateful to President Trump and Attorney General Bondi for once again allowing gun owners to petition to have their gun rights restored by the DOJ. We hope to see many more infringements repealed as the federal government carries out President Trump's executive order protecting Second Amendment rights. Ryan Petty, welcome to the show, brother. It's big news.
It's great news, Mark. And I know, we've been waiting to hear something from Attorney General Pam Bondi. I've been on your show before defending her. I know Pam Bondi personally because of the Parkland tragedy and during that time. And I know there's a lot of criticism about Bondi's support of some of the provisions in the Parkland legislation that made many in the Second Amendment community nervous. And I think arguably and rightfully so. I think this is the first of many good announcements to come out of the DOJ under under Pam Bondi. And what I appreciate about what's happening here, look, I wish everything happened yesterday, right? You and I both, I think, would love to see all this stuff happen yesterday. But I think she's taking knowing Pam, she's taking a very deliberate, methodical, and legally defensible approach to honoring what President Trump has asked her to do at DOJ. And so I think what we'll get will be maybe slower than you and I want, but what ultimately will come out will be defensible in court, will withstand the scrutiny of those activists that would try to attack it, and ultimately, if it's challenged at the Supreme Court level, will be defensible and will prevail at the Supreme Court.
Well, there's no doubt that the gun grabbers are going to challenge. It's just what they do. Okay, and I can't disagree with you. I don't know Bondi personally. I only know that I know her from many years as my local prosecutor down in Hillsborough County, Florida, over all those years, of which she was for 18 years to be exact. So I've seen her in operation. And while I'm not a fan of certain things, and I'd like to say she's 100% pro-gun, I can't say that. In conversation with you, both on air and off air, conversations with Mr. Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, both on air and off air, he's very confident that she's going to do what Trump wants him to do. I've made this statement publicly, and I'll make it again here right now. I trust that she will do what she wants him to do because Trump's mandate and agenda, if she wants to keep her job, which she no doubt does, she's going to act the way Donald Trump wants her to. I do not see her bucking him at all. Now, again, that's my opinion, Ryan. I could be wrong, but I don't think so in this case. Now, you've known her personally for quite some time, and you feel confident telling listeners that she's going to do what's expected of her by us as gun rights supporters and activists?
She's been, Pam Bondi has been a longtime Trump supporter. She was on the quote-unquote Trump train early in Florida. I think she's very much in line and understands the job that the president has asked her to take on. And I got to think, we're all excited about getting the Second Amendment stuff done, but she inherited an absolutely dysfunctional and completely adrift Department of Justice. I mean, Mark, I sit on the Florida State Board of Education, and just the stuff that they were doing around DEI and ESG and these other garbage, CRT, all this other stuff that they were out there promoting and defending and pushing into our kids' schools and our nation's colleges, and the whole time their eyes were off the mark, off the ball, as it were, regarding violent crime and violent criminals. I mean, they weren't doing any of that. So Pam's inherited an absolute train wreck of a DOJ. That includes what's going on at the FBI, which we know Kash Patel is, working to get that fixed, and bless him, Dan Bongino's there, who I know we both know, and Dan is going to be a fantastic addition there. They've got a huge mess to clean up. We're all excited about the Second Amendment stuff, but I got to think Bondi's getting the Second Amendment stuff done as quickly as possible, knowing, and here's the other thing that I think people need to understand, and this happened, I think last week, Mark, she had to let somebody go, on this whole rights restoration thing. Yeah. Remember, there was an attorney at DOJ that wouldn't work with her on this. So she's still got folks at DOJ from the previous administration. Heck, there are probably some from the Obama administration, the Bush administration. Some of these folks are just lifelong bureaucrats. They don't care who's in power. They don't care about Trump's agenda. They don't care what the American people want. They're there just to sort of protect their jobs and do whatever they want to do. And she's got a building full of these people that she's got to work through. So I'm not surprised this stuff is going to is taking longer than any of us want. But I do trust that Pam Bondi will be thorough and that she will ultimately deliver on the Second Amendment promises that and requests that President Trump has made.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there. That's why I've given her the benefit of the doubt that the deep state is deeper than anybody thought when they came in. My only criticism of Bondi would be, if I were to give her any advice, if we were to sit and talk, is quit jumping out ahead of your skis. Okay? Just tell us what's happening and do it in a timely fashion. Because what we don't want to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to take a break. We'll readdress this when we come back. And Greg, I want to go to you because you got kind of excited about this when I mentioned that breaking news at the top of the hour before we went live. So I want to hear your thoughts on that as well, because it's been a thorn in your side for quite some time, as it has mine. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, we're covering some breaking news regarding Attorney General Pam Bondi and what I guess would be the first result of Trump's executive order regarding our gun rights. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a few minutes. The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters in the SIG Sauer studios with you in front of the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Of course, it's all being brought to you by that great company, X Insurance. Guys, I want to give you just a quick note that we've got some great guests we're lining up for the Monster Cast weekdays and the Monster Cast. Todd Pyro from Fox and Friends First will be joining the show. We're working with his crew right now to schedule a time slot for him. He's excited on coming on. He and I go back to back about every Tuesday and have for a number of years on 97.1 FM, and we're looking forward to bringing him to the program. He's a big fan of the show. And we're also working right now. I spoke with an old friend of mine, and you might remember him as he's talk radio legend, Mancow Muller. Mancow will be joining the program in the near future as well, both a daytime and a Sunday show. And if you have been a longtime listener of Armed American Radio, he was a guest of mine in our Washington, D.C. affiliate back in 2010 when the show was a year old, and we were together. Wow. Yeah, going way back with Mancow. I've known him for a long time. Out of Chicago, legendary talk radio host. And Mancow was a guest on the program when the program was a little bit over 1 year old at the first annual Second Amendment March. We're also working on some Congress folks. So we got a lot of big plans coming up with some great guests. Greg, let me go to you quickly. This has been a thorn in your side for a long time, and you're excited about this news, and I want you to convey it to listeners. We also have additional breaking news coming out on ATF right now. We'll go back to Ryan on that after we get your comments. Greg, jump in here with us.
Yeah, sure. Briefly, this has been really a point of contention with me for quite some time. Obviously, I believe that this is an infringement because it specifically affects people I know. I've got someone to text once I get off the air here today, say, hey, go to these links. I want you to download your application for your restoration of rights. I want you to get a money order for any kind of application fee that's required. And I want you to fill this out, and I want you to mail it as soon as possible, first class, and have it signed, stamped, and all that, and returned, delivered. Because I know an individual that in 1996 was convicted of a felony. They did 8 years probation. They got off in around 2004, 2005. In the state of Texas, after a release from conviction, you have a 5-year wait period, and then your rights are restored to possess within your home. This individual's been burglarized. They've been almost mugged in their neighborhood. They have had some severely traumatizing things happen to them. And during this time, and this has been since they were released from probation, they have not been able to defend their lives. They have a small child, which is a growing child now. She was very young in 2010 when he had her. And there's just a part of me wants to see this individual be able to defend his life and his daughter in his neighborhood and in his home. And with this opportunity here, the state of Texas, even though there's no mechanism that recognizes your rights have been restored, his right to vote has been restored. And in the state of Texas, he can possess within his home. But if there's ever an instance where the police are called to his house, he is terrified that if he had a gun in that home, that they would take him to jail on the federal level crime for possession or felon in possession of a firearm. And he could probably do 5 years at least. And that would take him away from his daughter, and it would take him away from his job, his career, and his home, and he'd lose everything. And this has been something he and I have talked about a lot. And I told him when I got into radio that I would try to advocate for people like him, and that when his right to vote in this state was restored in 2003, he's voted ever since. And it's been one of those instances where this is a long time coming. This really means a lot.
Yeah, it really does. And I want to quote Ryan Petty. Welcome back in. Let me quote from our friend over at The Reload, Stephen Gutowski's piece that was released just 57 minutes ago. Ryan, the rule is the first concrete result of the executive branch gun policy review Donald Trump ordered in early February. It could help ease concerns among some gun rights activists about the delay in delivering promised reforms. However, like Trump's order, the rule does not implement any final changes. Instead, it promises to create a process for gun rights restoration at some point down the line. Now, we don't know how long it's going to take for that to play out, but the rule will be published tomorrow, which is pretty rapid fire given the current conditions. Ryan, jump back in. I'll let you comment on that. And then you've got some more news that you just texted me during the break about a council now over at ATF, which is also really good news. Take it away.
Yeah, more good news there. Hey, look, there are thousands of stories like the one Greg just shared where people have been denied their right to protect themselves and their families, and it's morally reprehensible. It's something that should have been remedied a long time ago, and you can see how Democrats, this was the Schumer rule, right? And this is one of those things where they just want you disarmed, they want you fearful, and they want you beholden to them, a slave to government, if you will, for all of your rights and all of your protections. And so I almost get choked up listening to Greg's story about this is one of those, of all the things they could have done first, I love that they're doing this first.
Yeah, I do too. It's a sledgehammer. This is a sledgehammer move. It really, truly is. And I'm thrilled by it. Let's watch it play out. But ladies and gentlemen, that's a huge step forward. It really, truly is a huge step forward. I'm thrilled to see this today. And believe me, there's going to be more to come. There will be more to come. Again, I'm with you on this, Ryan. We won it yesterday, right? But we're not going to get it yesterday. We just got to watch it unfold step by step, piece by piece, for a restoration of our Second Amendment rights. And I have no doubt, based on this one, that we're going to see a lot more to come down the road. Now, you sent me a copy of a link to a tweet or X post on X, formerly known as Twitter, from Costas. Would you tell us about this? I can't read what he put in there because it's a bad word. But it's Robert Lader, Assistant Director, Chief Counsel. What's going on here?
Yeah, Costas tweeted just a few minutes ago, and if you're not following Costas, you should be. The guy's like encyclopedia of the legal issues around guns, and he's in deep blue California, where he's sharpened his stick, as they say, and he really understands what he's talking about. But Robert Lader is now an assistant director and chief counsel for the ATF. Now, Robert, for those that don't know Robert, he has been, he's an associate professor at George Mason, Antonin Scalia Law School. That should just make everybody get really excited. You should be jumping up and cheering right now when you see the words Antonin Scalia Law School. And he's written a blog for a number of years called Standing His Ground, and just talking about our Second Amendment rights. This guy is an assistant director at ATF and the chief counsel. This is one of us, folks. One of us is running the ATF, or very, very, in the leadership of the ATF general counsel. Gunner should be jumping up and down and cheering for this one.
Yeah, let me, as we go to the break, let me read this this post on X from Costas. This selection inspires renewed confidence and hope of a two-way restoration under the Trump administration. Professor Lader understands the right to keep and bear arms as it was originally intended, and I am confident he will do great things at ATF. Now, that's, of course, as assistant director and chief counsel. So that is, again, more huge news coming out of the administration today for our Second Amendment rights. And Costas is the real deal. If he feels that way, you can feel that way too. I can promise you that, as you just heard from Ryan Petty. When we come back, more analysis on what's happening and more whatever we want to talk about, because we can. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues right after the break. Don't go away. Great show today.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Yeah, Daniel Defense is freedom, passion, and precision, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check them out at DanielDefense.com, DanielDefense.com, and give that H9, their pistol over there, a good hard look. Jump on their email. You don't want to miss those emails. They're great. DanielDefense.com. You can also support the DoubleDFoundation.org, doing great work over there in support of youth shooting sports around the country, particularly now in the Southeast, but that is expanding as they continue to grow and get more support. And that comes from us, because of us. Great partners make years-long radio shows, ladies and gentlemen. Please support all of our great partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Welcome back to the SIG Sauer Studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. Today, it's all brought to you by X Insurance here on the Monday through Friday show in front of the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Ryan Petty, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be here, Mark.
So, really good news today. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. I'm really encouraged. Now, I do want to point out that the assault weapons ban is back up in front of conference for the Supreme Court again on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it was punted last week, but it's back up for conference this week. So we don't know what's going to happen in the conference, but come Monday at 9:30 a.m. or 10 a.m., we should have our answer as to what happens this go-around. I'm expecting some type of result here, Ryan, this time. Either a grant of cert or a denial with a dissent, or a grant of cert with a dissent from the left. But I believe we're going to get an answer coming up this Monday. Again, I could be wrong. It's just an opinion, but this thing has been floating for so long. This has got to be taken care of. I'd like to get your thoughts on that before we move on.
You know, fortunately, Mark, I gave up predicting what the Supreme Court would do before I started predicting what the Supreme Court would do.
It's a smart
I have
move.
No idea what they'll do. But let me tell you, wouldn't that be a wonderful announcement? I mean, can you imagine the conference rooms at Brady and Giffords and Everytown? If that happens, they're just going to be, I mean, I don't know. They'll probably have to have hug sessions and have warm towels brought in, and just, you know, they'll be comforting each other. This is what Trump is doing right now is better than I even expected. Now, it's not all done, and there's a whole bunch more I know we all want done, but what we're seeing happening is better than I could have imagined.
I couldn't disagree with you. And, you know, I got to tell you this. When I was listening to you talk about Trump, I can't help but, you know, because you have TDS, right, which is Trump Derangement Syndrome, very real disease being suffered by the left, no question about it. You now have EDS, all right, which is Elon Derangement Syndrome. And you've got leftists out there that are literally blowing up automobiles, firebombing vehicles. These are domestic terrorist attacks, ladies and gentlemen. And I was talking with my wife earlier. I said, I'm half-assed tempted to get rid of my vet and buy a Tesla just to support Elon Musk. What I'm seeing out there from the left, the violence that they're calling for, and believe me, I can't wait to find out, and I have a feeling we will find out who is funding these university protests, who is supporting and funding these terrorists in the United States that are doing this. Eventually, we're going to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. I really, truly believe we will. I don't think Trump is playing games here, Ryan. I just don't. And I think Bondi will make that clear. I just hope, again, I hope she doesn't get too far ahead of her skis on this quickly. But nonetheless, I do think we're going to get some responses. Apparently, so there's already been an arrest in one of the Tesla deals. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, one of the important things that the Doge team did, or President Trump, let's just say, was to unleash Doge first, right? And to go after this dark money that we all know exists. We never know the names. We never knew exactly the mechanisms, but now we're learning how it all works, right? And you've got groups like Act Blue and George Soros that are funneling money into these activists. And let's be honest, Soros and people like him are the ones funding these ops against Tesla dealerships and owners and all the other stuff that's going on. And they've he's funding violence in our cities across the country. And I think it was important for Trump to come out and say, and have Doge sort of open our eyes to what's going on as Americans, and he really put the Democrats in an awkward position. He put him in a spot where he went after their money and they didn't know what to do. And now what that's allowing him to do is to do the things like restore Second Amendment rights, to restore the Second Amendment in general. But I think the first thing he had to do was go after their money, because when you go after their money, you completely, I'm going to use the term, discombobulate. You discombobulate them to the point where they just don't know which end is up, and they're all focused on their money. And so now you've got an opportunity to operate and do the other things. That's what I think is going on right now. Mark, I saw a warning flash across my screen this morning. You know, and I think we need to be careful. You mentioned you were talking to your wife about this. I think we could be headed for another Summer of Love sequel this summer. So I think Americans need to be careful. If you live in a city and you live in a blue state and a blue city, you need to be very cautious about where you go and what time you go. And if you can get out of blue cities and blue states, I would encourage you to do that. It's much better out here.
It really, truly is. And honestly, the left you're beginning to see an uptick in more calls for violence from the left. This could be a rough summer, no doubt. To go to, TDS, we'll talk about Hollywood briefly here for a second. Nobody suffers from it more. Well, of course, we all know Rob Reiner, that lunatic meathead. But you got John Cryer out there. Here's a quote from him. Trump attacking U.S. more effectively than 9/11 terrorists. Are you kidding me? That's how deep their hatred runs of Donald Trump. And as you were alluding to before, the left has got nothing now but to fall back because he's got them on their heels. They don't know what else to do. So they're forced to defend the indefensible. Defending, terrorists, defending Tren de Aragua gang members, defending judges who issue unconstitutional orders in violation of presidential proclamations that Donald Trump has every constitutional authority to make. Yet these people don't care. And you've got idiots like John Cryer. And I hate this because that's a funny show, man. 2.5 Men was a funny show. I just can't watch it anymore. These guys, they're flat out morons and liars. And you have to wonder, how'd you get so successful? Well, Hollywood likes morons and liars, I guess. It's unbelievable, Ryan. It's just a never-ending battle. But sadly, I think you're right. I hope you're wrong. But there are indications and signs that the left is looking to get more and more violent. And you're seeing some of these catcalls coming from people in high positions within the Democrat Party who are just losing their minds over Donald Trump. You agree?
Yeah, they're calling for violence. And then they brush it off like they didn't. If a Republican did any of this stuff, Mark, they would, lose their minds. But they're out there doing this. They're attacking Tesla, and you've seen the number. I mean, it's more than a dozen conservative influencers on social media have been swatted the last week. Now
you're taking my thunder because Joe Pags, the talk radio host, was swatted last week.
Yeah, I mean. Those folks that do that should be charged with attempted murder because you're setting our law enforcement officers and who they know are armed Americans. You're pitting them against each other in the hopes that one or more of them will get hurt. All of those folks need to be investigated and they need to be tried for attempted murder.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it because the ultimate goal is to get them killed. Their ultimate goal is to get somebody like Joe Pags to respond to a 2:35, in this case it was 2:35 in the morning. These things happen in the middle of the night, and the ultimate goal is to get him to respond with a firearm in hand to get him shot by cops, murder by cop. That's exactly what this is. It is attempted murder, no question about it. And I can promise you we take good care and caution around here. You've got to be planning for these people. They are sick, twisted, evil individuals. Absolutely 100%. Now, there's more good news coming out of Florida from a couple days ago. I've been waiting to talk with you about this because you're there and you sat on that Parkland Commission. But a bill lowering the minimum age for purchases in Florida has passed a House committee. It is moving. We'll talk with Ryan Petty about it on the flip side.
This segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Daniel Defense. Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, guys, Daniel Defense rifles don't work well without any ammunition, and Ammo Squared has you covered. AmmoSquared.com. It is a no-brainer. Start stacking ammo. It's Wednesday garbage day at the ranch. I got my You Got Mail email today, which in this case is You Got Ammo. I'm over 2,100 rounds and building every single day at AmmoSquared.com. If you are not participating there, it is such a great way to store ammo at competitive prices. You don't have to stack it at home. You don't need to buy a new safe. You don't have to think, oh my God, you don't have to hear, where are you going to put all this? Okay? And you've likely heard that before. I know I have, and not just with ammo and guns, but lots of stuff because I like cool stuff. But nonetheless, Ammo Squared will store it for you. Keep a stash of ammo at home and then just keep stacking it up at Ammo Squared. And when you want it, you got it. They'll ship it to you. And if for some reason you don't, you want your money back, instantaneously move it right back to your account. So it's banking money and banking ammo at the same time. Whichever one you want, you got. It is such a great concept. Dan Morton over there has got it going on. Make sure to check out AmmoSquared.com. So what do? I give them $15 a week, and I'm stacking rounds of 9mm and 5.56 223 all day long, every single day. And when I want it, I notify them online, and they will ship it immediately. It's that simple. Make sure to check them out, AmmoSquared.com, and don't forget, BarrelBuddy.com. Keep all those guns clean with Barrel Buddy. Pitch the patch. That's old news. Clean your guns the modern, patented way with Barrel Buddy. BarrelBuddy.com. And visit all of our partners, including Heaven's Harvest, Defender Coffee, Emerson Knives. They're all there for you. Patriots Relief. We've got a new one coming up here. We're going to be we'll talk about that when it happens, but we're about ready to bring that exposed. All of it can be found at armedamericanradio.com. Ryan Petty, welcome back. Let's take you to where you are in Florida, because more good news coming out. Attorney General, remind me, Utmeyer?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's James Utmeyer. He posted this past weekend, 3 days ago, making clear his conviction that a state law barring 18 to 20-year-olds from purchasing rifles, quote unquote, runs afoul of the Second Amendment. Here's his exact quote. I believe restricting the ability of Floridians ages 18 to 20 to purchase firearms runs afoul of our Constitution's Second Amendment. A person at the age of majority who can fight and die for our country, indeed even be drafted into the military, should have the ability to purchase a firearm to protect his family or participate in this year's turkey season. Men and women old enough to fight and die for our country should be able to purchase firearms to defend themselves and their families. Now, there was a bill that has now moved out of the committee in the House in Florida that would restore those rights. Can you give us any indication of what's going to happen? Do you have a gut feel? What do you think is going to happen? Because DeSantis has already made it very clear. He wants the bill and he wants to sign it. So it looks like it might be working, some pressure from DeSantis.
Yeah, I hope so. So James, I got to know James when we were working, as I mentioned before, on the education side, when we were trying to, get schools opened and eliminate some of the crazy stuff the left was doing to our kids in schools.
Yeah.
He's a warrior, and he's a constitutionalist, and he's a great man. I couldn't be more excited to have him as the Attorney General, and he's come out strongly and unequivocally for restoration of these rights for 18 to 21-year-olds. And I'll say it again, Mark. I know I've said it before on your show. The one regret that I have about that whole Parkland time was the legislation that we put together in Florida was that the bill to get it passed had infringements on the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. And it's taken now 7 years for, I think, the political leaders to touch that bill, if that makes sense. It's been a sensitive topic in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I've come out in support of it. I've let my legislative leaders know. What I understand right now is that there's some hesitation on the Senate side with the Senate leadership to bring it forward. I have communicated, as a couple of other Parkland parents have communicated also, that we support it. We're not opposed to it. We think it should be changed. back to the way it was prior to Parkland. There's no reason that we shouldn't change it back to the way it was before. It was put in under the pretense that we just didn't know how many 18 to 21-year-olds out there were at risk and all this stuff, and it was a political necessity. Needs to be reversed. I completely support the governor and getting this changed back, and hopefully the Senate will take it up. But that's where it's stuck right now, Mark, is the Senate has not moved their version of this through committee at this point.
Well, they're going to be under significant pressure. And I want to make this clear. I don't want anybody to have any illusions about this. There are Parkland parents who support it like you. There are very vocal Parkland parents who are going to fight it. And they have media and money behind them. They're going to be very loud in their opposition to reinstatement of constitutional rights for their fellow citizens. That's a given. You can believe that. However, I do think, and again, just a personal opinion, that the Senate will fall prey to a tremendous amount of pressure depending on how strong this comes out of the House, already knowing that the governor has made it clear that he wants to sign that bill. So that's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the Florida Senate leadership. There's no doubt about it. We'll see how they react. There's other good news now. We'll clear the show out with this today. North Carolina's House Judiciary Committee has moved constitutional carry forward. So here we go again. It'll be state number 30. So there's movements here, Ryan, good positive movement that we're seeing across the spectrum, right?
Yeah, we're entering an era of Second Amendment restoration. This is something that you mentioned. Aiden Johnson from Gun Owners of America. We wrote about this just after Trump was elected, just before he was inaugurated. We called for a period of Second Amendment restoration, and I think we're seeing that, and it's wonderful. Our republic cannot survive if Americans lose their rights to defend themselves, to possess and carry the firearm of their choice, to be able to defend themselves and others, and protect this nation from tyranny. We must have those rights restored. It's wonderful that President Trump, this was not a Trump issue, right?
No,
this was not something that President Trump was particularly interested in, even during his first term. But I think he has recognized how far the left is willing to go. We were talking about the violence in the summer of 2020 and what I hope doesn't happen in 2025, but might. When they're backed up in the corner, they are violent, and Americans have a right to defend themselves from the leftists that would enslave all of us. This is an important thing that we restore. It should not be a second-class right, and right now in America, it is. And so we need to get it restored. And I'm grateful for President Trump for making this a top priority.
I couldn't agree more. We'll have our rights back when open carry is the law of the land, constitutional carry is the law of the land, no more permits are necessary, and on and on and on. And ladies and gentlemen, we are moving in that direction, albeit slower than we all want, but we are moving in that direction. Trump said, we're going to win so much, you're going to get tired of winning. I hope that's the case, but I never get tired of winning. Ryan Petty, thank you for being here. We appreciate you for everything that you do in support of our gun rights. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is going to get up and do it again tomorrow as we lead up to the Monstercast on Sunday. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. I'll see each and every one of you on the radio.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for jumping in with us today. Appreciate it very much. Show came up on us quick today. There's a lot going on. And I never even got to that New York Times piece that I wanted to talk with Ryan about from yesterday. The more I dug into that, the more the more I had difficulty trying to wrap my head around forming an articulate opinion about that, because there's just so many directions to go. So we've not heard the end of that piece. AWR Hawkins is going to be writing about it too. I'm looking forward to seeing his opinion on it and talking to some other experts out there about how they feel about, and we're talking about what we were discussing yesterday on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, and that was training kids. That's a great thing, but are you teaching criminals? So, it appears to be that way. Yeah, so it jumps both sides. It's a double-edged sword. We'll talk more about it with some of our experts over the next few days, and I'm sure that subject will come up on Sunday's broadcast as well. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Appreciate it. Make sure to like and share the post. Join us over at social media at AARMark on Twitter or X. Check us out, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Subscribe to the podcast. If you don't yet, please do. Help us continue to grow. We're growing every single day. We appreciate it. Help us take back our social media that they held back from us for all those years. It's moving in the right direction, and we need you to help us with that. That would be Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and Rumble over there, and many of you are doing that. Thanks for joining us today. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys.